contractor issues. It's what tonight's Troubleshooters is all about. A family has filed theft charges against a particular contractor. A disabled veteran and a senior, same person, may have more serious charges, according to an attorney. The contractor, he told me he's not a thief.
Now, your Action 10 News Troubleshooters Report.
Patsy Garcia says that instead of buying a new home and moving, she and her husband decided to add on to this one on Shepherd Street, where they've lived for 20 years. In February, they hired Juan Garduño, a contractor who runs Your Vision Construction. If that name sounds familiar, Garduño was also the contractor involved in a different and still unresolved troubleshooter story done in January of 2022. The Garcia's job called for a 24 by 24 room addition, bathroom, and a bigger kitchen, among other items listed on the contract. What convinced you to hire Juan Garduño?
He was doing work for my sister and had started off really good over there, and so she said, hey, this contractor can do work over here to do your addition. Garcia claims these bank receipts show they've already paid Garduño $50,000 in 3 installments from February 21st to March 10th. Total cost for the job, $80,000. And according to the contract, the job would be completed on or before April 20th this year. But this is what it looked like when we were there June 1st. So why did you call us about this? Because he never contacted the city to get any type of permits. After I've continuously from day one asked him to get permits. And never. That was in the contract. It's in the contract. The contractor is responsible for permits. Yes. He, the contractor, is responsible for hiring the engineer to draw up the blueprints. Right. To date, there's been no blueprints and no permits been issued for this house. Development Services tells the troubleshooters Juan Garduño is not registered with them, and they have no record of him ever pulling permits from their department. Furthermore, their records show that they inspected Garduño's work at the Garcia's home on May 2nd and red-tagged it, meaning no more work could be done without the proper permits and blueprints for the work. Development Services told me yesterday that they don't have any record of you ever, not just these jobs, but ever pulling any permits from them.
Yeah, because I was doing more fencing. More fencing and, small stuff.
Garduño initially agreed to an on-camera interview with us, then canceled, but did agree to answer our questions by phone.
This is the area that was supposed to be converted to a dog kennel.
Jim Stewart told us he hired Garduño last November to turn this room into a dog kennel at a cost of $7,500. His bank records show he's already paid Garduño $4,500. But Garduño admitted to the troubleshooters the real reason this job didn't get done.
My workers did not want to go that far, so that's why everything went down.
Stewart also told the troubleshooters he sent Garduño this demand letter via certified mail, but no one ever signed for it. He also claims Jim Wells County Precinct 5 Constable Gerald Arismendes tried to serve Garduño a court order. Arismendes would not confirm or deny that to the troubleshooters, and Garduño denies it ever happened. Stewart's situation is different, though, because he's a disabled United States Navy veteran and a senior.
Alberto, we're checking in right now.
Robert Heil is an attorney who handles civil and criminal cases and says the law protects seniors in cases like this.
The senior citizen community, which is very valuable in our society, is also protected. So sometimes there's crimes against seniors. Anyone who's over 65, they will have a greater degree of protection.
Garduño told us he intends to give Stewart a refund.
Yes, the refund for sure, yes. It'll be sometime next week. I'll give him a call.
But he also added that it probably wouldn't be for the full amount.
Look at all the floor.
The Garcias, they're taking their situation a step further. They've not only fired Garduño from their job, we've confirmed with CCPD that they filed a report accusing Garduño of theft. And since it's more than $30,000, that could make it a third-degree felony. Now, Mr. Heil, the attorney there in that story, recommends anybody who feels they're a victim in a case like this, take all your paperwork and present it to CCPD in person as soon as possible. He also cautions that there's no guarantee that they'll even take your case or even pass it along to the DA's office, but if they do, the DA's office would then hopefully present it to the grand jury, and the grand jury determines whether it's strong enough case for trial. Heil further suggests hiring a stable contractor, one with assets. Otherwise, even though the judge may rule in your favor, you get nothing in return because the contractor has nothing. As always, whenever you have a story you'd like the troubleshooters to look into, just send us an email at troubleshooters@kztb10.com. It's Juneteenth, and the United States is honoring emancipation. We take a look back at the history of the commemorative day when Action 10 News returns. Americans across the country coming together today to celebrate Juneteenth. The federal holiday commemorates the day in 1865 when the last known slaves learned they were free. Millions are celebrating with parties, cookouts, and festivals. Some also use the day as an opportunity to reflect on slavery and highlight issues still facing Black Americans. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston and issued General Order No. 3, which essentially put an end to slavery. The announcement came more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. At the time, there were about 250,000 slaves in Texas.
Decided that it would be best to send a contingent of soldiers to come to Texas and to officially issue the order, especially in relation to Reconstruction and the occupation of Texas, to officially make sure they understand that slavery has ended. You must free these people.
And a year after General Granger's arrival, many of those former slaves organized the first celebration known as Jubilee Day, an occasion for African Americans to gather, reflect, and honor their ancestors. Juneteenth wouldn't be recognized as a holiday until June 7, 1979, when Texas became the first state to make it an official state holiday. 42 years later, the United States Congress would pass a resolution making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Outside we go, beautiful look at a beautiful Whataburger field, the Harbor Bridge in the background. Bill Alexander coming up with his full weather forecast right here, next on Action 10 News.
Now, your 10 weather forecast.
All righty, folks, let's take a look at what we're going to see tomorrow. We're going to start off around 80 degrees, finish up into the triple digits, and much of the afternoon in the upper 90s with heat index values in the brutal category. We're talking about 120 degrees plus over a large swath of the area from Corpus Christi back towards Kingsville and points to the west and southwest. Wednesday, not any different. Looks just brutally hot, and if even more so from Sinton all the way down into the Rio Grande Valley. And even on Thursday, more of the same coming up. So there's no relief. There's no significant change. Satellite radar loop is showing no significant clouds out there and certainly no rain. If you're heading out to the coastal waters tomorrow, it's going to be sunny, windy, and hot out there. We're going to see a high in the upper 80s, triple-digit heat index values, even on the Gulf side beaches. Water temperature in the middle 80s, but windy out there. South wind 20 to 30 knots, choppy to occasionally rough bays, and 5 to 9 foot seas, especially in the afternoon. Small craft advisory is likely again tomorrow until 10 p.m. as it was today. Now, here's a look at future track, and you can see some clouds kind of filtering in from the west. This is remnant from showers in central Texas. Obviously, no precipitation here, just high clouds overspreading the area, and it's not going to have much to do with our significant weather elements. In other words, we're going to see windy, partly cloudy conditions overnight, lows from the upper 70s to lower 80s, and the wind is going to stay up 12 to 20 miles an hour overnight, and then 20 to 30 miles an hour again tomorrow. Speaking of which, we start off around 80 degrees, finish up around 101 tomorrow afternoon. That wind's going to be out of the south at 15 to 25 miles an hour with higher gusts. And that's not going to give us much of a sea breeze, so we're going to be at 101 degrees tomorrow, pushing 110 in the inland areas. Not fun out there. And again, I say this again, heat index values between 120 and 122 tomorrow, and again coming up for your Wednesday. Yeah, and just no relief from this, and the reason is this high is just not moving in the upper air, and it is pressing down on the atmosphere, warming the atmosphere from that, and preventing any precipitation from occurring. Now, you do get moisture coming in underneath it, but unfortunately, this ridge builds up again and just shuts down any chance of rain. Sunday, you might get a few coastal showers to our south, but that's pretty much it before this high rebuilds and shuts down any significant rain opportunities. You can see those popping up down to the south of us, but nothing of consequence, and as a result, we're going to stay hot and dry. Now, let's take a look at the tropical satellite here. Tropical Depression 3, soon to become Tropical Storm Brett, continues a west-northwesterly track, and in so doing threatens the Lesser Antilles and then moves on towards the Dominican Republic as a Category 1 hurricane. That's about 5 days out. Around here, though, no impact of that. Partly cloudy. 80 degrees overnight tonight. The next 7 days, relentless heat and humidity with highs in the triple digits to upper 90s, lows from the upper 70s to lower 80s. And by the way, the first day of summer is actually on Wednesday.
Thanks, Bill. Speaking of the weather, more than 100,000 residents of East Texas are suffering through the excessive heat without power. Communities in the region lost electricity early Friday morning when powerful storms and a tornado ripped through the area, bringing down power lines. Just after 9 this morning, Texas Baptist men in Dallas loaded up some of their equipment and deployed to East Texas. Chainsaw crews will help clear storm debris, while others will help prepare meals for storm victims and volunteers.
When you're without power for hours, it's one thing, but when you look at being without power for days, that's another thing. And so we're able to provide meals for thousands of people every day, and that's what they'll be doing today, in addition to all the chainsaw relief that they provide, and that's ongoing for days, and that'll happen on for several weeks to come.
The Texas Baptist Men's Organization has already deployed another group